Hello and welcome to Learn Biblical Hebrew Lesson 38. We're starting now our three-part series on Isaiah chapter 2 verses 1 to 5, the magnificent words about peace that the prophet Isaiah wrote so long ago that are so relevant in the modern world today still. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 1, Hadavar asher chaza Yeshayahu ben Amoz al Yehuda wa Yerushalayim. So Hadavar, let's look at our word by word translation. Hadavar is the word. It could also mean the thing. Davar can also mean thing. Here probably it means word. Asher, which, chaza, saw. Now there is another word for see in Hebrew, which we met before. We met it in lesson 29, Genesis 1:4. God saw that the light was good. And that was a different word. The root of that word is ra'ah. There's an overlap between the words, but this one in Isaiah chapter 2 is the one used for seeing a vision. It's also used in Isaiah chapter 1 verse 1, along with the noun that comes from it, which is translated as vision. So the next word is Yeshayahu. It's interesting how these names in Hebrew look nothing like our English versions of them, and that's because the names have come down to us through Greek, Latin, and sometimes French as well. And it's a pity that the names are so altered when, for example, we do have a sh sound. This is a sh sound with a dot here. It's a sh sound with a dot there. It's an s sound. We have a sh sound in English, but because it came through Greek and Latin, which don't have a sh sound, it got changed to an s. And then, of course, this guttural sound got lost, and a couple of other changes happened as well. But in this name we can see two parts. Yeshach means save or salvation, and Yah, there's a shortened form of the name Yahweh. So this name could mean the Lord saves, Yahweh saves, or Yahweh is salvation. Isaiah. Ben Amotz, Ben is son, and it's linked in what's called a construct. So it corresponds to son of. This little dash here links it. Amotz. Now this is not the same name as the prophet Amos. The prophet Amos's name begins actually with this guttural letter. Both of them are lost in English, so that we don't distinguish between them because they just completely drop out. And it almost looks at first blush as if this, to us, as if this name is the same as the prophet Amos, but it's not, because the prophet's name begins with this and also has a different S at the end. So it's often written in English as with a Z, Amos. Ral concerning Yehuda, Judah, Yerushalayim, and Jerusalem. So how are we going to translate this? Well, I've written the message which Isaiah, son of Amos, received concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now verse 2. V'haya be'acherit hayomim nakon yihye har beth Yehuda beth Yahweh berosh heharim. So let's look at this word by word. And it will be. Haya, it will be. Be'acherit, in. Be is in. Acherit is end. Hayomim. And again, of understood, the days. So this phrase, Be'acherit hayomim, may refer generally to the future, and more technically to the final period of history, made famous in with the King James wording, sometimes the latter days, in the latter days. The commentator Delitzsch, who I referred to, says it means the New Testament era, from the beginning to the end of the New Testament era. So it's an interesting question. How much did the prophet himself foresee? Maybe he personally didn't foresee all that much, but under inspiration perhaps he saw further. Nakon is established, or it could mean endure. The word could mean endure, but I think here it's meaning established. Yehye, it will be. So notice this is a different form of this word, is or be. This is the future form, and this is the past form. Well, they're not strictly tenses, although they've been made into tenses just time related in modern Hebrew. But in ancient Hebrew, this one referred really to what's called an aspect. This was completed, and this is not completed, so present or future. But the word at the beginning changes it again. So that's why it changed it back, almost like a toggle switch. It changed this one back to the future. So we translated this one will be, and we translate also this one will be. So established, it will be. Har is mountain, and again of is understood. Beth Yahweh, house of the Lord, house of Yahweh. Now house is a first approximation for this. It can also mean household or family or dynasty, as in the case of the house of David. And here it means God's people, the people over whom God rules. Berosh, in head of the mountains. So there's mountain singular and there is mountain plural. Heharim. And in here is again the first approximation, but in translation perhaps we'll translate it more like as. This is a translation here. Most of my translations are taken from Good News Bible with a little bit of reference to other translations, and they've said in days to come. That's how they've translated it. The mountain where the temple stands. So the house of the Lord, they understand that to mean the temple, God's temple, will be the highest one of all. So the b is really changed. In this case, its sense is not meaning in, but it's meaning more like as. But they've simply omitted it. It will be the highest one of all, in good, clear English sense. The mountain where the temple stands will be the highest one of all. And the second part of verse 2. Wenisa migvavoth wenahru elau kol hagoyim. So this is and raised up from hills. Now here is from used in the way that it's used in Hebrew to make a comparison. So from the hills meaning in comparison to the hills. We met this in previous lessons. So in comparison to or more than the hills. Nahru, and and will flow they, and they will flow. It's interesting here that we had the word har in the first part of the verse, meaning mountain, and it forms part of this word. Not that the words have any relationship, but the Hebrew writers love to take advantage of different sounds of words and similarities in sounds. So I'm sure that was in the writer's mind here. The har, of the mountain, and the naharu, they will flow to it, elau, to it, kol hagoyim, all the peoples. So towering above the hills, every nation will come streaming to it. Perhaps I should put it together with this so that the full verse in English can be seen. In days to come, the mountain where the temple stands will be the highest one of all, towering above the hills. Every nation will come streaming to it. And here we can see the Hebrew of the two parts. High from the hills, and they will flow to it, all the peoples. So this is the common goyim, is the common word used in the Bible for the Gentiles, the non-Israelite peoples. So Isaiah is seeing a time in the future, in the distant future, from his point of view, when the mountain of the Lord and the house of the Lord, the place where Yahweh is to be worshipped, will be seen by everyone to be above all other places of worship, all other highly placed gods and individuals in the whole world. And people, all the peoples of the world, will flow to it. And we'll see in verse 3 in the next lesson what they're going to do when they get there.